In the small world and 6 degrees of separation theories, we see that people are interconnected in networks across time and space, and it is this interconnectedness that makes snowball sampling so effective. But in the 21st century, is it only people that are connected in this way? And can the concept of snowball sampling be applied to non-human entities? In the realm of social science research, snowball sampling has emerged as a dynamic and effective method for identifying and accessing hard-to-reach populations. This technique leverages social networks of initial subjects to recruit further participants, thus enabling researchers to delve deeper into specific communities or groups. By starting with a small initial pool of participants, researchers can snowball their sample by asking each participant, or some participants, to refer others who meet the study's inclusion criteria. This process continues until a sufficient sample size is achieved or no new relevant participants can be located or identified. Snowball sampling is particularly useful in studies involving marginalised populations where traditional sampling methods may fall short. It is also useful for gathering participants who self-identify with the cohort inclusion criteria. Since the birth of social media, snowball sampling has become very popular and highly effective across all fields of social science. Traditional snowball sampling begins with a set of initial informants, often referred to as seeds. These seeds are typically selected based on their knowledge, experience, or position within a particular community. Once these initial participants are identified, they are asked to refer other individuals who self-identify as capable of supplying relevant data to the study. This referral process continues iteratively, expanding the sample like a snowball rolling downhill. The strength of this method lies in its ability to tap into social networks and trusted relationships, which can be especially valuable when studying sensitive topics or hidden populations. However, traditional snowball sampling is not without its limitations. The reliance on referrals can introduce bias, as participants may only refer individuals within their immediate social circles, potentially limiting the diversity of the sample. Research participants who have large social networks are able to provide investigators with a higher proportion of other respondents who have similar characteristics. Additionally, the process can be time-consuming and challenging to manage, particularly in larger studies. Despite these challenges, snowball sampling remains a popular choice for researchers aiming to explore the intricacies of social networks and communities. I would like to present here a modern technique for social media research. With the advent of digital technology and the proliferation of social media platforms, the landscape of research has evolved dramatically. Social media provides a vast and ever-changing repository of data presenting both opportunities and challenges for researchers. In this context, I propose the term Silicon Snowball Sampling to describe a novel form of sampling tailored to the digital age. Silicon Snowball Sampling is conducted entirely by the researchers and does not involve actions by research participants. It can also be used where no human participants are involved at all, and research is being conducted using purely virtually online and sourced data. Silicon snowball sampling adapts the principles of traditional snowball sampling to the virtual realm of online environments and is particularly useful in social media research. In this approach, researchers begin in one virtual space, such as a social media platform, online forum, digital community, or online marketing environment, etc., to collect initial data. From there, they follow links, hashtags, mentions, and various connections within that space to discover additional sources of data. This method allows researchers to trace the pathways of digital interactions and uncover interconnected networks of users, topics, and content. The linked content is inherently relevant to the initial space, and therefore, in accordance with the researcher's intentions, also relevant to the research that began in that virtual space. Implementing silicon snowball sampling involves several key steps. In the first step, the researcher starts by identifying an initial digital source or set of sources, such as influential online communities, social media profiles, popular hashtags, or key discussion threads relevant to their study. It is important to justify why this initial source was selected. Then, in step 2, they use digital tools and software, for example word processors and spreadsheets, etc., to gather and store data from these initial sources, capturing posts, comments, likes, shares, and other relevant interactions. This must be conducted in accordance with ethical permission granted prior to the research. The third step is where the silicon snowballing occurs. Following the digital trails created by social media posters and commenters, researchers explore linked content, related profiles, and associated hashtags. This process mirrors the referral system in a traditional snowball sampling, but is conducted in a virtual environment. An important part of the process, to maintain validity of the researchers keep a record of their virtual pathways and map the networks of interactions and connections, creating a comprehensive picture of the digital landscape surrounding their topic of interest. The benefits of silicon snowball sampling are many and diverse. It enables researchers to discover a vast and varied array of data that they may not have accessed through traditional methods or within the single initial virtual environment. It may inductively take the researchers to data that they would not otherwise have sought or even expected. By leveraging the interconnected nature of social media, researchers can uncover hidden patterns, trends, and relationships within digital communities. Additionally, this approach is highly adaptable and can be applied to various types of online social media platforms, from Twitter and Facebook to Reddit, YouTube, and Instagram. Despite its advantages, silicon snowball sampling also presents certain challenges. The sheer volume of data available on social media can be overwhelming, necessitating sophisticated tools and techniques for data management and analysis. The researchers must be consistent in their approach to following links. If they choose to follow all links, they may encounter an overwhelming data corpus or reach a point where the data is of decreasing relevance. However, if the researchers choose to follow some links and not others, there must be justification for these decisions, and these justifications must be grounded in the project's paradigm. Privacy and ethical considerations are paramount, as researchers must navigate issues related to consent and data protection in the digital sphere. Furthermore, dynamic and constantly evolving nature of social media means that researchers must be agile and responsive, adapting their strategies as new trends and technologies emerge. I will now discuss the methodology of a research project that recently employed silicon snowball sampling, thus offering a demonstration of the process. The project aim was to explore a social media guitar community to discover how self-directed learners who use virtual communities understand the epistemology of music theory. The proliferation of online learning platforms and social media has transformed instrumental music education, offering unprecedented access to and flexibility for self-taught learners. This shift has particularly benefited guitar enthusiasts who increasingly use online resources to learn and improve their skills. The central research question of the project was, how do online learners of guitar approach music theory? Historically, guitarists formed geolocated physical communities to share their knowledge and passion, similar to Wenger's communities of practice. With the advent of social media, these communities have migrated online, thriving on platforms such as YouTube and Facebook. These virtual spaces foster intrinsic motivation and learner-centered activities, providing rich insights into self-directed learning. In previous research, the concept of epistemic indulgence was introduced, where learners were observed to freely navigate and justify their knowledge acquisition methods, building on the personal epistemology framework by Hofer and Pintrick. Intrinsic motivation and inquiry-based learning are intertwined, each supporting the other across various educational fields. Dewey's perspective on inquiry learning emphasizes the importance of addressing learners' real-world curiosities and problems. Online communities facilitate this by allowing learners to seek advice and solutions. Integrating social networking into music education promotes student autonomy. The ethnographic study utilized a participatory inquiry approach where the researcher immersed himself in online guitar communities without interacting. Non-interaction is an important aspect of social media research to avoid influencing the data. Data was collected from the public Facebook group Guitar and Music Theory, which comprises nearly 700,000 members and typically averages approximately 20 posts per day. Initial data collection selected posts with over 100 responses. The posts and all responses were collected and downloaded to be stored in a word processor file. The process of silicon snowball sampling was then applied. The responses often contained links to other websites which contained relevant data for the research project, as well as links to other Facebook communities. However, the most common links were to YouTube videos. The transcripts of the YouTube videos, as well as the comments sections, were scoured by the researcher for relevant content pertaining to the research question. Other links included other social media sites, including X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram, as well as a wide variety of web pages about music theory, mostly in the form of blog posts and commercial websites. These pages were also read by the researcher and relevant content downloaded and stored on the word processor data file. One specific example of how silicon snowballing really worked well in this project is a post on the Guitar and Music Theory Facebook group, in which a member asked what would be the least amount of music theory they need. This post had 256 responses. One of the responses stated that a YouTuber had created a series of videos that addressed that particular question, and they included a link to the playlist. The playlist comprised 24 videos, which had 4,602 comments in total. So this demonstrates a snowballing effect of increasing from 256 data points to 4,602, an increase of nearly 18 times. So this whole process created a large language-rich data corpus comprising nearly 90,000 words. This data corpus was then subjected to the processes of thematic analysis. Codes were developed and relevant data extracts stored in a spreadsheet to assist with theme development. At this point, to assure anonymity of the original social media users, no record was kept for each coded extract regarding the original source. This was to ensure the research adhered to the ethical guidelines ensuring participants' anonymity following the Australian National Statement on Ethical Conduct in Human Research. Identifiable information was not collected with the original data to prevent any risk to the original posters, and no full data samples were disseminated in the publications resulting from the research. In this way, the data could not be reasonably traced back to the original community members, thus maintaining academic rigour and ethical standards. The study explored contemporary methodology of data collection and contributes to the discourse on social media research. The use of silicon snowball sampling proved effective in gathering relevant data, providing insights that can inform future pedagogy and enhance student engagement in online learning environments. The data found beyond the initial source via silicon snowball sampling proved to be equally valuable in addressing the research question in the initial data. Snowball sampling remains a valuable and versatile method for social science research, both qualitative and quantitative, particularly when studying complex social networks and hard-to-reach populations. The traditional approach has been instrumental in uncovering insights within various ethnographic communities. With the rise of digital technology leading to the internet and social media, the introduction of silicon snowball sampling offers a modern twist, harnessing the power of social media and other digital networks to expand the scope and reach of research. By following digital trails and mapping online interactions, researchers can unlock new dimensions of understanding in the ever-evolving landscape of social media.